Hi, I'm Jill, and I'm going to be taking through a series of podcasts about the university application process. Overall, we're going to talk about research and university options. We'll cover the specifics of your UCAS application process, and then we're going to start thinking about writing your personal statements. We'll go on to consider late applications and also focus on student support. I've got Kate today with me from the University Student Recruitment team. Hello.
Hi, Jill.
And she's going to take us through what you might want to consider when choosing a course and choosing a university. So it's good to have you today.
Thank you.
Thank you. So what would you say are the top considerations when looking at what to study and where? What should we be factoring in?
I think probably the most important thing to factor in first of all is, does the university that you're interested in actually offer the course that you want to study?
So course comes first.
Course comes first. You might think, right, I definitely want to go to this university, and that's great, but they might not actually offer that course. So it's really important to check if the universities that you're interested in offer the course that you're interested in, and if they don't, then you might need to start exploring other options.
So not compromising on the university over the course then?
Yes, yeah, okay. Absolutely. Obviously, the other thing that you need to be looking at is entry requirements. So every university is different in terms of what they ask for their entry requirements. Some universities might ask that you have studied a particular subject to be able to apply for that course, others might not. Some will have higher entry requirements. So it's really making sure that you look at what's achievable if you think you can get those grades. If you've got your heart set again on going to a particular university and the grades are a little bit higher, it's fine to apply for that if you think you can achieve it, but then maybe consider applying for a lower entry tariff institution as well, just in case you don't get those grades that you need.
We've considered the entry requirements. What else might you want to consider?
So one of the things that you should be looking at is the types of modules that you'll study within the degree. Just because you are studying, you're interested in studying English, that doesn't mean that every English course is taught the same way. There'll be different modules incorporated within different degrees at different universities. So if, for example, you're really interested in studying something like Shakespeare, that's great, but make sure that the course that you want to apply to actually has that as a module. Also look at things like methods of assessment. Some university courses will be, a majority might be exams, others might be a lot of coursework, reports, presentations, demonstrations. So if you know that you're not particularly strong when it comes to exams, then you might want to look at courses that don't have that much exams within their course.
So that kind of level of information on how a course is taught is available on each university website.
Yeah, so it's just, yeah, exactly, Jill. So it's just really thinking about how you're best assessed. If it's more vocational, so like we were talking about reports and things like that, or more academic, so in terms of more exams.
Great, thank you. So in terms of the course that you've chosen, it's not just about the course content, presumably, it's about the facilities available to support that course.
Yeah, absolutely. Some universities have particular strengths and they will invest a lot of money in the facilities that are available for that course. So it's really worth researching how that's going to be beneficial to you, how much access you're going to have to those facilities. A university might be showcasing them, but you might actually only have very limited access to that. So that's something that's worth asking when you're going and visiting universities, open days and things like that. And obviously when you've finished university, you've graduated and you are going and interviewing for jobs, you're going to be up against people who have potentially studied the same degree as you. They might have done a year in industry, so got a bit of experience as well. So it's really important that you can go and demonstrate that you are able to hit the ground running, really, if they give you the job, that you know the software that they use in industry and you've got experience of using it on a regular basis and you're more than capable of doing that. So yeah, really important to look at how much the university has invested in the facilities that you'll be using and how much access you'll actually have to that.
And when you say look at those facilities, you actually mean go and look.
Go and look, yes. It's really important that you go and have a look at the facilities and what's available. But also make sure that you chat to the academic staff as well. These are the people that are going to be teaching you for throughout the duration of your course. How do you interact with them? Do you find them approachable? Do you find them personable? Do you think that you'd feel comfortable if you were having any problems on the course? Would you feel comfortable going and talking to them? So it's really important that you get a feel for academic staff as well.
That's a really good point. And I guess thinking broader than facilities is having a look around the campus and what the campus looks like and how that's going to work for you and your preferences. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, because everybody's got a really different idea of what they want from their university experience. Some people want to move as far away from home as they possibly can. Other people, you know, want to be able to maybe get home in an hour if they need to. So that's something to bear in mind. You know, how easy is access to things like transport links? Can you just hop on a train or a bus quite easily and get home? And then think about what you want from your experience whilst you're at university. So do you want to be in the middle of a city centre, lots of access to bars and shops and that kind of city centre experience? Or would you prefer a quieter campus, somewhere a little bit further out? And what type of campus do you want? So at Teesside, for example, we would class ourselves as a single site campus. Everything's all in one place. You know, nothing's more than a 10-minute walk. You've got your library, your students' union, accommodation, all your access to your lectures and things like that. It's all in the centre of campus in one place. So if you struggle sometimes getting out of bed on a morning and you know that you might have to hop on a bus to get to your lectures, that's not always ideal. So just think about that, and if you want that city life experience, just consider that when you are looking at at your different university options. But again, Jill, you know, it's really important that you go and look at where you'll actually be learning. Universities have different campuses, they've got different places where you might go and study. You might be thinking you're in one place at one end of the city and actually you're in at the other end of the city and it's a bus ride or a train ride. So again, it's really important to go and visit these universities to see where you'll be learning, where you'll be living, where you'll be socialising, to make sure that it's what you want from your university experience.
So it sounds to me like, in terms of course and location and every aspect about it, there's no right way. It's about just finding the best fit.
Yeah.
And finding the fit that is right for your way of learning, your way of living, and your way in terms of how you want to kind of plan your life going forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so many students say, you know, when they set foot on the university that they eventually ended up going to, they knew straight away it was right for them. So again, just that feeling, so why it's so important to go to open days.
So in terms of course quality, we hear about accreditation. Can you tell me a little bit about what that is and what it means?
Yeah, this is a really important one actually, because some professions do require that you have studied an accredited course at university. Psychology is always an example that I use. If you want to be a psychologist, you need to have studied a degree that was accredited by the British Psychological Society, or the BPS, as it would be more commonly known. So some professions do require that you have studied an appropriately accredited degree.
So it's not about just looking at the course that you want to study, it's about what you want to do with that further down the line, and then working back to make sure what you're doing fits that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, accreditation means that a degree has been developed in line with the professional body, so who oversees that kind of profession. So what effectively it's saying that this professional body agrees that this course gives you the skills and knowledge that you need to be able to progress in that field. It also means that you can be part of that professional body yourself, so it counts towards professional qualifications and registration with that professional body. So again, really important, all the information's on the university websites. Have a look and see if the course is accredited. So
loads of really useful information there, thank you. In terms of looking at the subjects that students are able to consider, are you limited by your A-level choices, or is there scope to consider a subject that you haven't studied before?
It really depends on the course that you want to study at university, and this is where it's important to check entry requirements. So some universities, for example, if you want to study law at university, some universities might ask that you have studied that at college, some might not. It varies from university to university. If you have a particular career in mind, you will need to study a particular course. So if you want to be a nurse, you'll need to study a nursing degree. If you want to be a vet, you'll need to study veterinary science. But there are lots of courses out there that don't require you to have studied anything at all. It's just, again, having a look on the university websites, looking at the entry requirements, having an idea of what it is that you want to study at university, and do you need to have studied a particular subject beforehand. I think the most important thing to remember is to do something that you enjoy. You're going to be spending 3, 4, maybe longer years at university, and the chances are that if you're doing something that you enjoy, you're more likely to succeed in doing well in that degree.
Follow your passion.
Follow your passion,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So you don't have to come and study full-time at university. There are other routes that you can consider, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, full-time undergraduate study is the most traditional option, especially for people who have just finished college, but that's not the only route. You can study part-time. Obviously this takes a little bit longer, so you may be looking at 5 to 6 years at university instead of 3 to 4. But that's a great opportunity if you want to work and earn whilst you are studying. So part-time is always an option. High degree apprenticeships, HDAs, are becoming increasingly popular, and we're seeing more and more of those coming up, and again that's a great opportunity to learn while you earn. You do need to have found a job, and then your employer will put you through your degree apprenticeship, and they'll actually pay the tuition fees, so that's a great benefit for students. They are quite competitive, so if you are interested in doing a HDA, it is worth looking at what you need to do to be successful in getting a job, because like I say, they are quite competitive. Foundation degrees are also an option. These are particularly popular for people who are interested in performing arts and things like that, where you don't actually need to have a degree, but you might want to learn a little bit more and develop your skills a little bit more. So foundation degrees are normally 2 years, and then you can either finish that 2-year course and come out with your foundation degree, or if you've really enjoyed it and you want to learn a little bit more, you can do that and complete that with a top-up. So that's an option as well. Online learning, again, is something that we're seeing more and more opportunities and courses available to study online. What I would say with online learning is you've got to be really kind of self-motivated, a real self-starter, because you are effectively learning at home. So you've got to be able to know that you can log on a morning and complete your work. But we're seeing more and more courses become available online, and online is more of an option. And again, because you can do it more in your own time, and there's an opportunity to work as well. So online learning is also an option. HNCs and HNDs, these are particularly popular for people who are interested in studying engineering.
So that's Higher National Certificate and Higher National
Diploma, yeah. So you do your HNC first, and then if you want to, you can top up to your HND. And if you've enjoyed it that much, you can then top up and do a full degree.
Right.
But again, popular for people who are working in that profession, but wanting to gain a qualification at the same time. So I guess there's pros and cons to all of these. It's just carrying out your research and finding out what best fits for you. You know, is it important that you can work and earn money whilst you are learning, or do you want to come and have that full university experience with your 3 years or 4 years, whatever it is, full-time traditional route?
Everyone is understandably worried about the cost of living. Is it expensive to go to university?
There's lots of things that you need to consider when you're going to university. There's things that are out of your control. So the cost of tuition fees, for example, no matter which university you go to, the tuition fee is probably going to be £9,250 an academic year. Now we know you don't have to pay that up front, that you take that in the form of a tuition fee loan and you start paying that back when you've finished university. But there is other things that you can consider when you are going. So for example, accommodation. Universities have a range of accommodation available, and these are normally at different prices. So if you want to stay in maybe a dormitory where you've got shared bathrooms and shared facilities, that might be a little bit less expensive than if you're going to maybe a self-contained flat where you've got those ensuite facilities. So there is accommodation to suit a range of budgets, but it's also thinking about things as well. About the cost of living in that area. We know generally the cost of living in the north is a little bit cheaper than in the south of England. You know, things like eating out, restaurants, the real social aspect of going to university is generally cheaper in the north of England. And also think about things like when we were talking earlier on about the location of your university, and if it's split across different campuses, you know, are you going to have to get a bus? Are you going to have to get a train every day? And how is that going to impact on your finances? So there's lots of things that you can do and you can consider to bring that cost down if it is something that you know and everybody is worried about at the moment.
And then there's also the option to potentially consider some part-time work if that fits in with your course.
Yeah, absolutely. And students' unions are great at advertising jobs that are available in the area. But also, most universities offer something what's called a student ambassador scheme. So you can apply, it's like applying for a proper job to become a student ambassador for the university. So you'll be involved like in things like showing people around on open days, going and delivering presentations out in schools and colleges, attending national events to represent the university. So that's a great opportunity to earn some money, you know, and it fits around your studies as well, but also to gain some great transferable skills to put on your CV for when you're going and applying for jobs.
That's a really good point and real benefit. So what would you say are good sources of information in terms of kind of researching all your choices in terms of subject areas and courses, and also in terms of universities that offer them?
So UCAS is a great website. Everything that you need is on the UCAS website. They've got something called a search by subject. So you might not know where you want to go and study, but you might have a broad idea of what you want to study. So you can put that into UCAS and it'll bring up all the universities that offer that course, and also the different variations of the course that are available as well. So you might think, well, I just want to study just criminology on its own, and you'll put that in, but then it'll bring up maybe other options that you actually didn't know were available to you.
For example, criminology with another subject.
Yeah,
kind of combined.
absolutely. Yeah, so that's a great resource to use. Also, the student room is great for getting some really impartial information, advice, and guidance. It's a student-led platform, so you can ask advice of other students on there who might be interested in studying the same subject as you, or you can even ask, you know, there's graduates that are on there, there's current students who are studying at university on there, so you can pop a note in a forum, is anyone studying this course at this university, and hopefully someone will come on and give you some information, advice and guidance if you've got concerns or questions or anything like that about anything to do with applying to university or the course.
The real life version of what it's like to actually study at a particular university or on a particular course. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
And then obviously university websites, university open days, these are all good places to kind of really get a feel for a particular university once you've narrowed it down a little bit. Yeah, absolutely.
And we say really you should visit at least your top 3 choices as a minimum. And we know it's difficult because you know, it does cost to go to open days with travel and expenses and things like that, but it's going to cost you a lot more to go to university, so you've got to make sure that you make the right choice. So it is really worth going to university open days. But also as well, you know, careers advisors are a great source of information. Most colleges will have a careers advisor, and a lot of them have, you know, they've got to study your qualifications in order to become a careers advisor. So they've got a wealth of knowledge and experience that they can share as well. So make sure that you go and chat to your careers advisors in college as well.
So that sounds like a lot of research. So that's starting that early so that you have enough time to kind of go through that process, visit the open days, talk to students who are in that position themselves, which sounds a really valuable thing to do, and really start thinking about what it is you want and which institutions and which courses really fit that well. And I think the other thing that really struck me about what you're saying is follow your passion, because this is something that is potentially going to shape your future career. So start with doing something that you really love, and then it'll be, you know, a lot easier to take the right path.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we need to be thinking about? Or
no, I think just what you were saying there about starting your research early. I think, you know, you start at college and you think, oh, I've got all the time in the world, and then all of a sudden summer's upon you, you finished year 12, you're going into year 13, and you're thinking, okay, I need to start doing some research, I need to start, you know, on my UCAS application, I need to start on my personal statement. So the more prepared you are, the better, really. So doing that research early so that you're in a really good position when the summer comes or when the beginning of year 13 comes, when you start making that application, start completing your personal statement, you've got some really good solid things to put in there, and you've really thought out about your choices and considered what's available, and you know that you're making the right choice for you.
That was immensely helpful, Kate. An awful lot to think about in terms of researching your options. Thank you very much for going through that. And thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome.
And if you've got any questions about anything that we spoke about today, you're very welcome to get in touch. We're more than happy to help. You can get in touch through our social media channels or through our online chat.